Welcome to OspreyTV. I am so stoked to be joined today by Tori Johnson. Tori is the social media and advocacy manager for Journey Beyond, which is a travel company that is based in Adelaide. Tori, thank you so much for joining us on OspreyTV.
No worries. Nice to be here.
We'll jump straight into it. We've only met a couple of times. You organised an Insta meet for us over at Roddo, and we got to come over with a heap of crew and shoot content to advertise Rottnest Island and also Discovery Park, which is awesome. We're going to jump back and learn a little bit about you and your role. So can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Perth originally. I'm living in Adelaide now, but I've moved to Sydney in between. And I lived down in Margaret River for a few years, and I worked for the Margaret River Tourism Association down there. I guess to backtrack, I actually studied psychology, which is nothing to do with tourism. But
do you ever use that at all?
Look, I think a psych degree is always useful because it helps you to understand people and understand human behaviour a little bit. So, but I never actually practiced psych as such. I did a little bit of work in injury management, sort of returning injured workers to the workforce after they'd had PTSD and that sort of stuff. And it was good, but it was pretty heavy, and I realised it wasn't really my thing. So
what a great trade you made.
It was exactly. Changed it for tourism, which is a bit more of a leisure industry. So I had a bit of a sea change from Perth after working in that sort of corporate space a little bit, and went down and lived in Margaret River for a few years and worked for the Tourism Association down there.
How did you get your first gig in tourism?
Well, I started actually working in a winery. I was doing a cellar door for a little bit, and then I started running wine tours, working for a company running wine tours down there, driving people around. Literally got my bus license and ran wine tours, which was great fun. Awesome. It was really good, and that put me in good touch with the Tourism Association there, and I made some contacts there, and a role came up doing communications and marketing for them. So I stepped into that role, which was fantastic, and did that for 3.5 years. Loved it. And then an amazing opportunity came up to work for Tourism Australia, and I had good contacts there as well in the social media team. I think my storytelling skills really stood out, and I was offered the job to move to Sydney and work for Tourism Australia, which I did for nearly 3 years in the social team.
Unreal. Is it as fun as I think it is at Tourism Australia? Is there kangaroos and marsupials in the office?
Totally, wombats just crawling around. No, it's a great team. It's a really fun organisation to work for.
How big is it?
When I was there, I think we had about 200 people in the office, but Tourism Australia's got international offices as well. So I think they've got about 14 offices in all the key markets all around the world. So but it's a big team in Sydney, and that's the head office. So loved working for TA. It was great.
Awesome. Okay, and so let's fast forward to where you are now. Can you tell us about your role with Journey Beyond?
Yeah, so I decided it wasn't Tourism Australia that I wanted to leave. It was Sydney. Sydney was doing my head in a bit. It's a big city, and come from Margaret River all the way to Sydney. It was and the novelty kind of wore off a little bit with Sydney after a while. It's very expensive, and I decided. My partner works in the wine industry, and he was working for a craft brewery in Sydney, which was great, but we were just a bit sick of the daily grind in Sydney, and decided for another bit of a sea change and moved over to Adelaide.
Good for wines.
Exactly, which is South Australia is where it's at in the wine industry. So my partner got a job in McLaren Vale wine region, and we decided to move there. And very fortunate timing that Journey Beyond, the company I'm working for, was looking for a social media and advocacy manager. So that sort of seemed like destiny, I think. And I had met them through ATE, the Australian Tourism Exchange event, which was happening in Adelaide, and met my future boss there, and just slipped into the role, which worked beautifully.
Awesome.
So,
and how is Adelaide compared to Sydney?
Oh, Adelaide's great. I love Adelaide. It's a bit more like Perth, I think. It's smaller.
More casual.
Yeah. It's a nice city. I live down in McLaren Vale, which is a wine region, so it's only about 40 minutes drive, which is awesome. So I can do a corporate role in the city, but live in a beautiful wine region and get to watch cracking sunsets every night down on the beach.
I've seen your
Instagram.
Instagram. You have some amazing stuff so close to you.
it's a really nice part of the world. So it's a nice balance that I can have that on the weekends and then still do a corporate role.
Yeah, beautiful. So with Journey Beyond, how long have you been in your position?
About 15 months now. So started in July last year when I finished up with TA. So I worked remotely for Tourism Australia. So I say a lot of acronyms.
That's all right.
TA is Tourism Australia for future reference in this podcast if I say it again. So and I started working with Journey Beyond in July last year. And it's, I guess, to give you a bit of a context of what Journey Beyond is, it started off as Great Southern Rail, which is, we owned the GAN and the Indian Pacific trains and the Overland train, which is a train that goes between Adelaide and Melbourne. And then they were purchased by a private equity firm, which then decided to expand and become Journey Beyond, which is a big travel business. And soon after they purchased Rottnest Express here in Perth, and Cruise Whitsundays, which is a big, massive boat company up in Airlie Beach in Queensland, which does a whole lot of trips out to the Great Barrier Reef and Whitehaven Beach and sailing tours and that sort of stuff, which is awesome.
Awesome.
And those were the three companies that Journey Beyond owned when I first started, and since then we've now got about 10 brands under our banner.
They're growing really quickly.
Yeah, we just purchased Horizontal Falls Seaplane Adventures,
Incredible.
Which is pretty exciting. We've got the Eureka Sky Deck in Melbourne, which is the highest observation deck in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wow. Which
is really cool, and a restaurant above that called Eureka 89. We've got a boat to a company up in Darwin called Darwin Harbour Cruises, which does really nice tours out on the Darwin Harbour. What else have we got?
So you literally are all around Australia.
Yeah,
You've got
we really
little bases everywhere.
Yeah, we've got Salsalis, which is a lovely luxury safari camp up at Ningaloo in the Cape Range National Park.
And with the structure of the company, are they all sort of helping each other in terms of the tourism, or are they sort of standalone businesses, or do they help prop each other up, or
they were all
stuff?
sort of standalone to start with, but as we bring them into the Journey Beyond family as such, we're starting to bring some synergies across all the businesses and do a lot of cross promotion. So
that's good.
Yeah, so definitely people working on the trains are spruiking the Salsalis at Ningaloo Reef and encouraging people when they get off the GAN in Darwin to go and do Darwin Harbour cruises and that sort of thing.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
So I think in 10 years' time it will probably feel very much more like one big business, but right now it feels like lots of small businesses that's part of a family, but we'll get there.
Awesome. And your current role is what?
It's social media and advocacy manager.
Could barely say that.
Bit of a mouthful. Yes, so I oversee all of the social media for Journey Beyond. I personally do the social media for our Journey Beyond Rail accounts, which is the GAN and the Indian Pacific. So we have an Insta account called Journey Beyond Rail. And a Facebook page there. So I look after the content for that, but I also oversee all the content for all of our other brands. So we've got a local contact in most of the businesses that does a lot of the day-to-day content, and I'm there to provide advice and guidance and strategy and really drive that social media strategy across the whole group.
Okay, fantastic. And so what's a day like for you when you go to work? What's the sort of things you need to give your attention to? Okay,
so I do all the content for those rail accounts. So I'm always constantly looking at my content calendar for that, mapping out content for those channels. But I then also have a lot of phone cross meetings with the contacts at Cruise Whitsundays and Rottnest Express and Eureka Skydeck, and we chat through what kind of content is coming up for them. Are there any events that we need to promote? What kind of UGC is coming through on the channels? And
UGC is?
user-generated content, just for anyone that's not sure. I just give them a bit of advice and guidance and direction as to what kind of social posts are really going to work well for the channels and help to optimize their content.
So there's a lot of forward planning for you guys really to make sure you're sort of hitting key moments that for the businesses, different times. Excuse me. Different times of year, and sort of key things like that.
There's a lot of seasonal stuff across our businesses, so we've got to make sure that we're promoting those seasonal activities with Salsalis. It's about promoting the whale shark season and the humpback whale season, swimming with the humpies, and that's a big focus of our channels for Salsalis. I'm overseeing a lot of the direction of that.
Fantastic. What is it about your role, excuse me, that sort of got you hooked? What is it that makes you get out of bed in the morning and go, this is awesome?
I think with social media, it's funny because I I never dreamed of doing social media as a job because it wasn't a thing when, like, I didn't study it, and it wasn't even a degree when I was at uni. So I think it was probably working at Margaret River and seeing what Tourism Australia was doing in the social media space, and they have a really incredible organic content strategy, and they were really inspiring tourism operators all over Australia. They continue to do so, but they were one of the first, I think, big destination accounts to really drive that organic storytelling.
Yep.
And I think
was that born through user generated content, or was that always their strategy? Because it always looks, like you said, so organic. And I wondered if there was contributions coming from just, you know, people on social media that sort of shaped and helped shape the style that they've gone for.
I think they really. There was a guy called Jesse Desjardins that worked for Tourism Australia for a long time, and he really started the social strategy there, and it was all about harnessing the content creators and even just the locals and people visiting Australia, and harnessing that content and their passion for their regions, and creating kind of the world's biggest social media team. That was a presentation that he went around talking about, because he was saying, I work for, you know, the world's biggest social media team. It's not just one or two or three of us in the office doing this. It is, but we couldn't do it without the support of all these people that provide us with this amazing content. So he really pushed that. I
know personally with Osprey, and a lot of the guys that we shoot with and converse with a lot, and the guys that have been on the podcast, everyone's super proud of their state, and we always do our very best to portray it in its best light, and showing a lot of the, you know, the best parts of WA. So it is like a team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, in your role, what are some of the challenges that you do face?
Look, I think demonstrating ROI, return on investment, with social media can be tricky, and I think that's getting our business to understand the value of social media. I think they never had a social media position, so I think that was a big step to actually create a role as a social media and advocacy manager. Was a big step, and an acknowledgement that social media is important. But Great Southern Rail in particular always focused on very traditional marketing. It was print media, it was broadcast. It is a bit old school in that way, and it's partly due to the demographic. Our target market is an older demographic. So they had a very strong Facebook following, because Facebook, I guess, has a slightly older demographic too, but they'd never really played in the Instagram space. And I guess just building that from the ground up and demonstrating the value of that has been a challenge, but it's been really rewarding because it has been embraced. But it was almost like starting from scratch. It was almost like a blank canvas. So.
And how long ago were they trying to introduce the Instagram aspect? How long has it taken, I guess, is my question, to get to where they are now?
Well, they had an Instagram account, and it had a couple of thousand followers. And I've got it to a point where I think it's at about 9,000 followers, so which is really getting there.
Getting some traction.
And they just weren't really active on it, that's all. And it probably was because it wasn't quite the right space. However, I think it's important to recognise that there are young people that are using Instagram as their primary source of travel inspiration, and a lot of these people are actually potentially the right demographic for our trains. 25s to 45s, cashed up. They're working in the corporate space, dual income, no kids, just looking to indulge.
And go on an adventure.
And they like a bit of that soft adventure, but they like a bit of luxury as well. They like food and wine. They're the right kind of demographic to potentially at least start exploring marketing to. Not something we traditionally marketed to, but not to say that we couldn't. And that's where I think Instagram has really opened us up to speak to that audience. Which
Awesome.
Is great.
You've got to do a lot of, obviously you've gone and experienced all the different businesses, because it'd be super important for you to go and check.
Not Horizontal Falls yet. I'm excited for that.
That'll be on the card soon. So what are some of the most memorable experiences you've had within the Journey Beyond group and the different destinations that you get to go to?
There's been some awesome experiences. Going up and we do a reef sleep experience up at Cruise Whitsundays, where you go out in a pontoon 39 nautical miles out to sea, and you sleep under the stars in a swag, which is really incredible. Cool. You get to wake up on the Great Barrier Reef. That's pretty special. special. But most recently we did the Rottnest Insta Meet, which was a blast, where you guys came along to. That was so much fun as well. But we did, and Rod.
Rod's in the house. He's cheering.
He's fist pumping in the corner. But we did an Insta Meet on the GAN recently, which was just a really incredible journey. It was 3 days on a train with some really amazing content creators. We had Jared Seng and his partner Beck, who her account's The Hatchling. They're Perth locals. They were a blast to hang out with, and they just worked so hard and took some beautiful content.
Awesome. We'd really like to get those guys on the podcast. So Jared, if you're listening, get on the podcast.
Definitely. And we had Elise Cook and her husband Dom from Adelaide. She's got an amazing following, creates beautiful content. We had Scott Slawinski here from Perth.
Old Scotty.
Another legend. Harry and Jordan Vick, who I'll talk about a bit later. They're a young couple who I love their work. And Rhiannon Taylor, who runs a hotel account called In Bed With Me.
Oh, fantastic.
And she takes beautiful shots of interiors. And so it was a really nice group, and we just had such a blast. These guys worked hard, but they played hard. Yeah. And, I think sort of one memory was right towards the end of the trip in the lounge at night when we had dinner and we were sitting there, and we ended up singing Alanis Morissette and sort of karaoke, and it was the trains hurtling along at 100 k's an hour in the middle of nowhere, and it's just
that's something you just don't forget.
It was really fun. It was really memorable.
I looked at some of Scotty's stories and there was a shot that he got with the drone where everyone was standing on the rocks. Yeah, and Jared Seng was full air guitar. I think he might have his shirt off.
That was his idea to
100%
do that.
commitment.
All of us had to do a musical instrument of sorts, and of course he just ripped his shirt open and did the air guitar. Yeah, it was great fun.
It looked like a wild time.
Yeah, he's a blast to hang out with. Yeah, and super talented guy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to jump into the first image that you've brought in, and we're going to have a little look at this. This is, for those of you that are listening just on Spotify or iTunes, we've got a beautiful little quokka here, but he's not just posing in your traditional quokka pose. He's on the beach. He's got a little chunk out of his ear.
Yeah, I'm not sure beautiful is the right word. He's a bit...
mate, we're all beautiful in our own way.
He's definitely had something take a bite out of his ear.
Yeah, Mike
but
Tyson.
I think that adds to his charm.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of sand on his nose, and he's sort of obviously a half movement sideways, but it looks like he's doing his best version of Michael Jackson's Thriller. Yeah. And it's an awesome photo. So tell us why you brought this in and what it means to you.
This one was submitted by one of our fans. So to our Rottnest Express, to our Love My Rotto hashtag. And yeah, I think this is an example where I think the caption really took this photo to the next level. So quokka photos are they're all our best photos on our account. They're our top 50 posts are all quokkas. We can't post...
Worldwide, they're out of control, aren't they?
But we can't post quokkas all the time because there's a lot more to Rottnest than quokkas. So we're pretty selective with the quokkas that we post. Yep. We've got a bit of a 2 quokkas per week max rule. Otherwise, you can just overdo the quokkas and then you don't want to have them lose their impact. So for this one, I think it was really adding that caption. It really helped I think I can't even remember what I put as the caption in the end, but it was something about how he's preparing for his Saturday night thriller dance movie. He's got it down packed. So yeah, I think it really helped people to put themselves in the moment and imagine him doing a little thriller dance. That ended up being, it did take out our number 1 spot on Instagram for a while. Wow. It's down to number 10 now because 9 quokkas have beat it now, but it's still...
Is that a pun?
Still
beat it?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson?
Totally unintentional, but excellent. But yeah, it had about 30,000 reach organically and 35,000 impressions, and yeah, it was
I mean, in terms of marketing, if you had to dream up some sort of fuzzy, cute, little, adorable creature as the face of your business, the quokka's pretty much perfect.
Basically, yeah.
And I guess it was the celebrities that started taking selfies with it that created that.
Absolutely. And they're a huge asset to Rottnest. I mean, it really wouldn't be the same without the quokkas. Right. Yeah, and if you're Perth born and bred local, you're probably like, quokka, get away, just trying to enjoy my meal.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're hanging around, but they just have such an effect on international visitors and even interstate visitors. My colleagues from Tourism Australia, I brought a few of them over to Rottnest when we were in Perth for a conference, and they were just losing their mind over quokkas.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they just...
And I think you put me onto the account. I've seen it a lot now, but Cruisy Susie, who lives over there, she's the quokka queen, as far as I'm concerned. Some of the situations that she's got photos of or videos absolutely blow my mind.
Insane, yeah. If you like quokkas, follow her account. She's definitely the quokka queen.
Awesome.
For sure.
So what have you been up to lately? Like, I know you've been, you're jet setting all the time.
Yeah.
You did the Garn trip recently, and what else have you been up to?
Went up to South Salis for a photo shoot recently, up to Ningaloo, which was amazing. That was with Scotty Slawinski.
Yep. What is South Salis?
South Salis is it's a luxury safari camp in the Cape Range National Park. There's 15 luxe safari tents, and it's a seasonal business, so it's only actually open for 8 months a year, and they literally pack the entire camp down.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it's an incrable little camp.
So it's sort of roughing it, but glamping, or is it
glamping? Absolutely,
that's 100%
it's
glamping.
definitely not roughing it.
Okay.
There's not, apart from having I guess having a composting toilet and that sort of thing. You still get hot showers. You're on a limited amount of water.
Yeah.
So roughing it in that way, in that you can't have a 25-minute shower, but you can still have a hot shower in your delightful safari tent with an ensuite, and you get 3-course chef prepared meals. And
sounds terrible.
It's amazing. The stars are incredible. It's a designated dark sky area, so the astrophotography up there is incredible, and you've got Ningaloo Reef literally a stone throw from your tent, so you can just jump out and snorkel straight after your coffee in the morning. But what we're working on mainly at Journey Beyond is the launch of our big Reef World pontoon. So we had 2 pontoons, and one was damaged quite badly in the cyclone a couple of years ago. So it's been sent off to be rebuilt up in Cairns, and it's being brought back down really soon, actually, and it's going to have 2 underwater hotel suites.
Get out.
Which is pretty exciting. So that's going to be called
So you can
Reef
sleep underwater
on the Great Barrier Reef.
And it's all glass or perspex or something.
No,
like
you can't see through it at all. No, of course.
Was it glass or is it perspex?
No, you can see through. You got the fish swimming past, you got the turtles swimming past.
Yeah.
You can wake up and you're literally waking up on the Great Barrier Reef, which is pretty incredible.
That is incredible.
So that's a massive project for Journey Beyond.
So only 2 suites available.
2 suites, so they're called Reef Suites, and then they'll have Reef Sleep on the top deck of the pontoon, which are the Swags experience. We're sort of deluxing those a little bit more. So that's going to be a pretty amazing option as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yes.
I think as a kid, or even now, I still think if I could wake up underwater, that'd be amazing.
I know, it's pretty special. Yeah. So, and it's the first in Australia, the first underwater hotel. They do have them internationally. There's a couple of locations, but the first in Australia. And we've had some big help from the Queensland government for funding, and it's all been done sustainably. So if anybody's got any questions about that, we've absolutely had to work super closely with the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, and we've done the biggest coral replanting project in the history of the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, that's awesome.
To make sure that we're not causing any damage to the reef, and it's on the moorings where the old pontoon actually was anyway.
It's the same footprint you've had all the time.
Exactly. So it's not like we're bringing something brand new in. It was actually there in the first place, and we're just bringing it back just
bigger and better.
Yeah, we've just kind of supercharged it a little bit. So
that's
exciting.
Amazing. And was that something that was always on the cards prior to losing the other pontoon in the cyclone?
Look, I'm not really sure, to be honest, because I haven't been with the company long enough to know. But I think it's since we've become Journey Beyond, everything's sort of
just getting bigger and better.
Yeah, getting bigger and better, and the dreams are becoming bigger. So
and
we've got the sort of the resourcing to back that. Exactly.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
that's
very
good.
Exciting.
What I was going to ask you next was, what do you think? You get exposed to so much content in your role, and you generate a lot of content, and you live and breathe it effectively. So, in your eyes, what does it take to make great content, and how is it sort of? What are some of the key differences that you guys look out for? The key sort of features of content for it to be really outstanding.
Great content. I looked at this question and thought, I think it depends on what medium you're talking about. So I guess I can speak to what makes great social content.
Yep.
And I think to make great commercial content is a very different. It's very different to what makes great social content.
Yep.
You can do a beautiful photo shoot, and you can have some really nice polished images, but they're not necessarily the right fit for social, I've found. So. Yep. I think you need to know your platform and know your audience and create the kind of content that really speaks to them. So I know at Tourism Australia, we always used to choose photos that represent what the visitor would see through their own eyes. I think that was hugely important, and I've still tried to,
So that means minimal photoshopping and changes of colors and I think you even mentioned like long exposure waterfalls. They don't even really do
Absolutely.
that much.
I think that I can't stand long exposure stuff just because I'm sorry, I just find it, I just don't think that's obviously not what the visitor's going to see.
Yep.
And I understand it from an artistic sort of creative perspective, but when you work in social for tourism, you need to be showing what the visitor can see. You can't be misrepresenting an experience or a destination. It needs to be authentic. A little bit of editing is okay, but within the boundaries of what's going of realism, exactly. You don't want to disappoint people by showing them something that doesn't look like how it actually is. So,
and I think that's one of the things that is becoming more prevalent is you don't have to be shooting on a $10,000 camera to get your photos featured on some of those huge accounts. There's a lot of phone shots.
Much mobile stuff that we used to get at Tourism Australia, and Instagram's got its own really good little built-in little photo filters and edit functions that just do enough to just enhance that photo enough to keep it within the bounds of realism. And I think we also, and I still today look for photos that have a little hint of human in them as well. I think that helps to give...
So a person in the composition?
A person or...
A car or a boat?
Just something to give, to demonstrate scale. I think that really helps. And it also helps to show accessibility of a destination.
So you're really trying to encourage that imagery that conveys that this could be you or you could experience
You could experience that and that it is achievable to get there and to be in that really remote spot, because it's all well and good to have beautiful remote landscapes, but if they're not accessible, then the photo isn't going to work for tourism. It will work for a landscape photography account. That's great, but that's not what we're about in the tourism space.
You've got to have the people in the spots.
Yeah, you want to show people, and not in a cheesy way at all, not people facing... I tend to steer clear of posed shots. You don't want people facing the camera and enjoying... You don't want holiday happy snaps. That's not what we're after. Generally, people don't want to see other people that they don't know having a good
enjoying
time
themselves
in their newsfeed. They want to see their family and friends in their newsfeed having a good time.
So it's like it's all those looking off into the distance shots.
Looking off into the distant silhouettes, just someone looking away from the camera, even just a pair of sort of flippers or feet or a pair of thongs or just something that sort of adds that little bit of human perspective. I think that adds to a photo. Yeah.
So that's some really good tips for all you shooters out there. If you want to get some features on some of the big tourism accounts, just rewind and play back what Tori said, and you can introduce that into your work. We've sort of covered across a few of these extra questions I had here. What we're going to do is flick to your next image. And this, I guess, is what you were just talking about, Solstice at Ningaloo.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the whitest looking snorkeler out of the whole lot. But yeah, Scotty took this photo, Scott Slawinski. I just think this is just a banger of a shot because just the framing's incredible. He's got all 5 snorkelers in the shot. He's got the tents. It really shows the proximity of the tents to the reef. And the just what I was saying, having people in the shot, you could have that as a landscape shot, wouldn't have the same impact as having those people snorkeling. I think, this one got picked up by Tourism Australia recently, so it was on the Australia account. And I guess the story behind this shot also, and this is probably testament to Scotty's sort of agility when it comes to shooting. He is so keen for the moment that we had another plan. We were actually heading out to do a gorge hike, sitting at breakfast, just finishing up, about to go on the gorge hike. It was a bit cloudy. Sun suddenly came out and it's like, go. While this light's on, get your bathers on, get the fins on. Let's get out there. And I think it's important to be jump on those. Like that. Yeah, don't just go, all right, well, we're going to do the hike because we said we'd do the hike. Don't worry about the hike. Hike can wait. The sun's out. Let's get in the reef. When
the light's there, you've got to shoot with the light.
Exactly.
So for those of you that are listening and not watching on the YouTube channel, it's a beautiful drone shot. Some of the clearest, most perfect turquoise water with 5 snorkelers heading out to a further reef. And you can see, as Tori said, the tents in the background. And then beyond that, the scarp, I guess. And it looks looks very remote. Desolate even. So beautiful contrast of texture and browns, and then into the white sand, then into the blue water. Incredible shot. And this, I mean, you effectively have like the most perfect memory recollection. You just get people to take these amazing photos of you everywhere you go, and then you get to remember all your cool trips.
Basically, I've got some really good shots of just me just enjoying, these amazing locations, which is so lucky to have.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Working hard as usual.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yep. So we're going to delve into a little bit deeper into social media. What do you think is the importance of social media at this time?
I think in the travel space, it's just such an easy and majority free way to inspire people to visit a destination. I believe still really strongly in organic social media, and I think a lot of people say it's dead. You got to do paid. It's paid's the only way, and the algorithms change so much. That's true to some extent, but Tourism Australia is a perfect example of an incredibly strong organic social strategy, and they are still nailing it. And if you can tell a story and pair it with incredible content, you will break through that algorithm. And yeah, it's really important to still believe, I think, in strong organic social.
If it's good enough, it'll get through.
Exactly. You can cut through the clutter if you know what you're doing with storytelling. I think social it kind of adds a layer of authenticity to travel planning. I think, you can go on a website and, I think gone are the days of jumping on a website and...
Or the Lonely Planet book.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember carrying that thing around?
My mum she's heading to New Zealand and she had one from the library that she'd borrowed. It was like 10 years old. And I was like, Mum, just go on the internet, really. It's called the internet. But, a really current, timely social media feed for your business or your destination will be such a strong source of travel inspiration for people, and it will show what the destination actually looks like now. People can click through and go, oh wow, that's what the sunset looked like at Airlie Beach or out at Hardy Reef last night, and how cool is that? And I think that is what people are looking for these days in order to make their travel decisions. They want to know that it looks like that now, not looking at photos on a website that could have been taken 5 years ago. So I think that's far more powerful. And social's a great customer service platform as well. I think most people would take to social to ask their travel questions, to ask for advice, to make a complaint, to give feedback. So it's absolutely imperative for brands to use it as a customer service tool.
How many submissions to the Australia account do they get daily?
When I was there, so just for the record, I finished it's nearly 18 months ago at Tourism Australia, and we were getting about 3,000 a day.
3,000 a day.
On See Australia, and then there was tagged images as well. So, potentially up to 4,000, could be up to 5,000 now. So it's a lot of content to sift through.
Yeah.
So they were always looking for those 10 out of 10 shots. An 8 out of 10 shot is not good enough for Tourism Australia.
And mate, you've got the choice. You can make the choice,
and they were featuring 3 photos a day. So 3 out of 3,000, it's a slim chance. So it's slim pickings in that way, but they do have very high standards for content. But I think I didn't mention before, but I wanted to mention that we were always looking for an informative caption as well. That always really helped. So taking the time to write something, whether it's descriptive or humorous or a bit of both. Either of those, a bit of both, help to provide a bit of information about the destination that the photo is of, because it saves them doing the research
instead of just writing YOLO.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that they do have a lot of content to get through, so they need to know something about that. They want you to provide something about...
Do some of the legwork for them.
Exactly. And not just to save them time, but more because,
you're invested in the shot.
It's important to give a value add, a piece of information about that destination that perhaps they couldn't find on a website. Something about, and 5 minutes up the road from here is this amazing hiking trail. And those sorts of little personal tips, or there's a great coffee shop 5 minutes down the road from here, or those little personal tips really take them to the next level.
That's a great tip. Write that down, everyone. Make sure you have good captions. What are some of the things you love about social media?
About social, I think I love that it's the fastest way to really communicate anything. You can get a photo through of an amazing sunset on Rottnest and get that up on the Rottnest Express account straight away, and it's just so instantaneous. I love that. It's an outlet for my creativity but in a bite-sized kind of way, which I kind of like. I'm not sure if I actually did a minor in journalism at uni with my psych degree, but I was never all that keen on being a journo. I think because it's the pressure and the deadline and the amount of content you have to produce, where I can still do storytelling in this way, but in such a nice little bite-sized kind of way. And I also love the kind of instant gratification that you get when a post performs really well. I think I love watching the likes. Well, you can't see the likes now, but you can see it obviously in your insights. I love seeing the reach that our posts get. I love seeing the fans just getting excited on our Journey Beyond Rail accounts. Our fans love photos of trains.
Yeah,
they just
people are mad for
nuts
trains.
for them.
Absolutely
They're called,
mad
for the record, gunzels is the term for like a train enthusiast.
Oh, enthusiast.
Okay. Maybe not an addict. Yeah, I think some of them probably are though.
I've heard that people watch like train videos for 7 hours. Like,
absolutely,
just on loop.
Yeah, well, we did Slow TV with SBS. So we had the GAN and the Indian Pacific were featured on Slow TV, and there was a 17-hour version of it. And
so what is it, GoPro on the front of the train or something?
It was a whole lot of different shots of the train. Yeah. So they had crew on the train for a week, and they were sort of filming, or they had drone shots, and they had interior shots and shots out the window, shots from the cab, looking out from the loco, all sorts of stuff, and it was just all pieced together. But it was very long shots that went for several minutes, sometimes 10 minutes at a time, and it just went bunter. That's a SA term, by the way. Bunter.
Crazy.
Just went crazy. So Twitter was going off, and people were just mesmerized, just captivated by this. So
what's a successful post? Is it a lot of likes or is it a lot of comments? What's the
engagement is sort of both likes and comments. I think comments are sort of more weighty than likes, so comments is definitely good. I think, but you've got to be careful not to sort of bait for comments by asking questions and that sort of stuff, or the algorithm can sort of penalise you for that. But engagement's definitely really important, and then also I think just reach as well. You want to make sure your post is actually just reaching as many people as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. And
do you have someone, or is that your role to look at that data?
Yeah, I look at all of that. Yeah. And look, number crunching's not ever really been my bag, but I've had to do it in this role, and I've actually kind of enjoyed it in a bit of an OCD kind of way, just keeping tabs on how the accounts are all performing. And every week when I meet with the other businesses, we unpack the previous week's content, and we look at what posts performed well, what posts didn't perform so well, and we just sort of bounce around some ideas as to perhaps why. It's important. I don't mind if posts don't work, if they don't fail, but you've got to learn from them.
Yeah, of course. There's no point.
You've got to break it down and go, okay, well, was it a dud photo, or did we post it at the wrong time of day? Was the caption maybe not so flash? We got to figure out what the formula is and learn from any errors so that we can constantly be improving.
Really interesting to look at it that closely and really sort of break it down as a science.
Yeah, I think and sometimes we're stumped. Sometimes especially with Facebook lately, Facebook can be a very
different beast.
It is, and it's changing. The algorithm's changing a lot, and sometimes one day a video will work, and next minute it just will bomb, and it is hard to unpack. But sometimes we do just get absolutely stumped as to why a post didn't work.
Wow.
But yeah,
it's good to know that even the professionals are still getting
scratching our heads sometimes. But it's those ones you just got to put money behind on. Give them a bit of a boost. I'm not a massive fan of boosting, but sometimes it helps to take it out of the running, I guess, in terms of organic performance. So
sure. Yeah. And so you're consumed by social media. As I said before, you live and breathe it. There must be some things you don't like about it.
Yeah, it's hard to switch off from it, I think, and that is something that can impact on your day-to-day life. And even when you're trying to be, relax on the weekends or be on holidays, I've got so many accounts that I'm constantly monitoring the performance of, and I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
That
your partner,
I think my partner,
he's like,
drives him crazy. He's like, put the phone down. Yeah. So,
and the easy excuse is, mate, it's what I do for work.
Yeah, exactly. It is. But it's sometimes I would like to just switch off, but I find myself I think it's an addiction.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm reaching for my phone, just as soon as it's something, I'm a bit bored with what I'm watching on TV or whatever, it's like reach for the phone. It's just an impulse. Yeah. And I think I need to train myself to sometimes put it away.
I'm 100% the same. And you catch yourself and you're like, what am I doing? But you still don't stop.
Just scroll and just kind of just always looking for content ideas.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's brainwashed us.
That's it.
What would you like to see in social media in terms of if we're talking about social media evolving, whether it's the platforms like Instagram and Facebook, what are some changes or things that you would think would benefit social media experience?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was sort of a techie question, but I'm not that in the sort of tech space. But I thought that I do find it frustrating that Instagram has never released the API for their inbox, the direct messages, to be able to be managed by a third-party platform, a third-party software provider. So as a business trying to manage especially all of our queries that come through all the different channels, we get, booking queries and lost property queries and all sorts of stuff that comes through, and we use Hootsuite Enterprise to manage that, which we actually find really works well. But Instagram still hasn't released that direct message inbox API to any third-party platform. So there's just that one thing that I can't do through Hootsuite that drives me nuts. That otherwise,
do you think is that a calculated move by them?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so why you have to go through Instagram? That's why they're doing it.
You have to. It keeps you on the platform. So, and it's just something that is a bit. It's just one thing that really bothers me that I wish we could do. There just isn't really a one-stop shop software platform that can do absolutely everything. So some of them have still got a few limitations in terms of, direct video publishing and not being able to choose a custom thumbnail for your Instagram video and all that kind of stuff. That's
frustrating.
And so there's a few things. I'd love someone to just create a software that is the absolute one-stop shop. But
do you think people would jump? Remember, there was a bit of that app come out maybe last year, and it was like, this is the end of Instagram. Everyone jumped on it, but the app couldn't keep up with all the sign-ups. Do you think people would if something was able to take the influx of people would leave Instagram if there was something better? Or do you think they've just got it?
I think people are hooked on Instagram.
Yeah.
It just seems to have gotten bigger and bigger, and I just don't think it's slowing down at all. I think there's other platforms that have sort of just ebbed and flowed in terms of their popularities, Snapchat but I think Instagram has just been solid, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, and I don't think brands can ignore it. I think they have to be on board, and perhaps even more so than Facebook these days. Yeah,
well, that was leading me into my next question. Which platform out of Facebook and Instagram has the most is most effective for business, do you think?
I think that really depends on the product or the destination or product that you're selling and the audience, what your target market is really. So I think a really good example of this for us, for Journey Beyond, is our rail fans, our fans of the Journey Beyond Rail Expeditions page. Facebook is definitely our stronger platform. We've got a much bigger following. In saying that, I'm working pretty hard to build the Instagram platform and open that up to that slightly younger demographic. But Facebook is where the bulk of our demographic sits. So for trains, absolutely Facebook is the thing. But then for, say, Rottnest Express or Cruise Whitsundays, I think, Instagram seems to be really taking off. And our Cruise Whitsundays Instagram account has overtaken our Cruise Whitsundays Facebook page quite quickly in the last 12 months.
Wow.
And I think that shows we've got a lot of potentially young mums, young females in Ellie Beach and Queensland and Sydney that are wanting to see our beautiful photos of the reef. And
when you're crafting your content, are you putting everything together with the foresight that it's probably going to be consumed on a phone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the way that all your images are cropped and scaled and everything is for phone.
We're going,
and does that content go straight across to, like if someone's looking on the internet, you're not changing on a desktop, you're not reposting the same photo in a landscape form or anything like that. It's just the same piece of content.
Same piece of content. We're focusing on portrait majority. Yep. I think portraits seems to be where it's at, and we just notice massive difference when we post the same photo in landscape versus portrait. Portrait just takes up all that real estate on your phone, and it just seems to naturally just perform better. So
awesome. All right, I'm going to jump into the third image that you've brought us. Now, this is one of the most exciting things I've seen this week.
You're going to be seeing that very soon. That view.
We are super pumped. Tell us about this.
This is Hill Inlet, which is in the Whitsundays. So we take people out to Hill Inlet as part of Cruise Whitsundays. So we do a full day Whitehaven Beach tour. So Hill Inlet is sort of just around the corner from Whitehaven Beach. So on our full day tour, we take people to the southern end of Whitehaven, and then we zip them up in a little boat to Hill Inlet, and they do this walk up to this lookout, which is where this photo was taken from. This one was snapped on my mobile.
Look at that.
And I think it's still our third highest engaged post of all time on our Cruise Whitsundays account.
That's incredible. As soon as I put this photo up on the screen, I could see Rod in the background was doing a dance. Big smile. He's pretty excited about going there.
It's pretty amazing. And that's had so little editing, like it just had a little bit of just
looks like that.
And that's exactly what the caption was in this. It was a really simple caption. I said, just so you know, Hill Inlet actually looks like this in real life. And that's what the caption was. And it just went nuts. And I think that's because that's literally what you'll see with your own eyes when you go there.
For those just listening, it's an amazing image of, we've got, as Tori mentioned, which is important, 2 little yellow, like little kayaks. Or
those ones are not actually our boats, but that's okay.
Okay, 2 boats in there. And it looks like it's quite a tidal region, is that right? So we've got some beautiful white sand, really shallow blue water with some amazing sort of just beaches, incredible beaches and blue skies.
So Whitehaven Beach is in the sort of corner of that image. Top left, I guess, and that's the sort of 7 kilometre long stretch of white silica sand that everyone in the world wants to see the whitest beach in the world. But Hill Inlet, I think, is really the hero of that area. It's just, if you get it on the right day, at the right time with the tides, and obviously we take people out there based on the times to try to give them the best possible viewing experience. You just get this swirling pattern, and it never looks the same. And local photographers will go out there day after day, week after week, and it just looks different every time, and they love it because it changes so much. And that was just a cracking day to be out there. That
is super exciting. I hope we get conditions like that. Rod's fist pumping and flossing in the background. I know that you facilitate lots of Instagram meets around Australia, and we were lucky enough to be a part of one, and that's how we got to meet you. Thanks be to Journey Beyond. How did that initiative come about, and whose brainchild was that to get content creators all in the same spot?
So I think I'd been to a couple of Insta meets through my role at Tourism Australia, and I especially I went to one that SATC, South Australian Tourism Commission, had put on, and I really liked the way that they did things. So we were really in need of, when I started at Journey Beyond, we were in need of some suitable content for social. We had a lot of commercial content, a lot of sort of photo shoot style stuff, but we also didn't have a huge amount of user generated content coming through. We did for Rottnest Express, which was great, but for some of our other channels, especially the trains, we were getting little to none in terms of UGC coming through. So there was a bit of a content drought, really, and that was the catalyst for me setting up these Insta meets, so that we can get a whole bunch of people in one place, create a whole lot of amazing content. You only have to organise the one itinerary. So, and that's where the inspiration came from.
In terms of your content creators, what are you looking for? What boxes do they have to tick to become a part of this Insta Meet?
Oh, that's a tricky one, because I think...
maybe there's no criteria. It's just...
it really depends. I like personally working with people that I know are going to be easy to work with, not too demanding.
No divas.
No divas. That's just passionate about what they do.
Yep.
And you guys tick those boxes definitely. But it's important to just have people that are all going to get along, and are going to all have something different to offer, I think, as well.
Yep, so different styles.
Some people that do great drone stuff, and some people do great underwater stuff, and some people are doing more the landscape stuff. And I think having a nice mix of, some people are stronger with video, and some people are stronger with stills, and having a good mix of people with and ideally I do tend to stalk people a bit on Instagram and get references from other people, and just make sure I do my best to put people together that I think are going to gel, especially if you're going to be on a train with them for 3 days, because you don't want to be stuck on a train with people that and are going to be difficult in a group scenario. So you got to be able to just mingle and chill with other people, and so
that's good. And I'm sure that from our experience, it was awesome. I know it looks like everyone's smiling every time we see the stories and the photos that come out from those meets. Why is this Insta Meet format good for content creation? Do you think it's a lot of creative? I mean, a lot of creatives coming together is always going to be interesting. But what is it about that you think is valuable? Because you guys obviously need to put up the money for it, and there's the expense from you, but what you get back is well worth it.
Absolutely, I think I like that everybody sort of learns from each other and inspires each other to better themselves as content creators, and they all seem to really learn something from each other and take that away and improve their content. And I think a lot of influencers, sort of in terms of a good format for content creation, a lot of these influencers double as talent, which is really handy. So it means if you can pick, I mean, Jared Seng and Beck are a perfect example of that. Jared takes a lot of beautiful photos of Beck. Beck's particularly photogenic. She's gorgeous. Yep. And yeah, they sort of work as a really amazing duo where it's sort of more bang for your buck, I guess, when it comes to having, you don't have to organise talent, which is amazing. I think it's a great, Instameets are a great way to meet photographers and build relationships with people, so that, I guess from my perspective, if we ever do have commercial needs for photography, which we obviously do, we do have an in-house photographer and videographer, but he's spread pretty thinly across so many businesses around Australia. So
shout out to Ron.
Yeah, to Ron. So, but it's nice to have those relationships. So I feel like if I have content gaps that need filling, especially at short notice, like with you guys heading out the other day to do some whale watching filming for us, weather's looking good, can ring you guys up and say, can you get on the boat? We've got a support vessel organised. It's happening tomorrow. And, I could only do that if I have a relationship, an existing rapport with you guys. I don't think. So I like to have those sorts of people all around Australia that I can I can call on in need.
Oh, that's good. And I think for us, we've only been a part of one so far, but it was great for networking for us as well. And I guess it was almost a bit of a catalyst for what we're doing here with this podcast, because one of the most excited things about that Instameet for me was meeting these guys that I'd followed for ages. I don't know
Drippy,
what that... Drippy Knickers.
Shout out to Drippy Knickers.
And James and Fitzy and that. And I'd followed them for a long time, admired their work, but never seen what they look like. Had absolutely no idea.
And all just nice, down-to-earth guys.
100% legends.
Mark especially, because you never see any photos of him. So that's Mark Fitz for anybody that wants to look him up. Mark Fitz Photography. He's based up in Townsville, and he never takes photos of himself at all, ever. So you would have no idea what he looks like. And it's just kind of cool to actually see the man behind the camera there. Exactly. So, I mean, what did you guys get out of the Instameets?
Well, like I said, it was great to meet those guys and just to see how they work and ask some questions about stuff that I like. Especially Drippy. His name's Matt, for those of you who don't know.
Matt Balecki.
Possibly the best, one of the craziest Instagram handles at Drippy Knickers. He takes some incredible underwater imagery, and I'm a big fan of shooting underwater as well. So I was excited to see his camera gear, his technique, what he looks for, things like that. So it's a chance to learn for content creators and also fanboy a bit, I think,
Absolutely. So, and that's why I think it was important to invite people who are willing to share their knowledge with each other. You don't want people who want to keep their secrets too close, because it is about sharing knowledge, and you don't have to give everything away, but everyone's going to learn something from each other. So I like to invite people that I know are going to be open to sharing a bit of knowledge, and for the same cause. We're all working towards the same goal, really.
Yeah.
So,
and the overall experience is so much better that way as well.
Absolutely.
What kind of state do you think Australian tourism is in at the moment? Are we doing well?
Absolutely. I think Australia's kicking some really big goals.
Because of the quokkas, right?
Oh, absolutely. So also because of the quokkas. No, look, I think Tourism Australia does a pretty incredible job of marketing Australia to the rest of the world. So Tourism Australia's remit is solely international marketing. So they are trying to get visitors to come here to Australia. Once they're here, it's up to the states and the regions to market their own patch. Yeah. And I think, I think TA certainly is getting a lot of bums on seats on planes to get people here. And I think their social media strategies played a huge role in that. I think we face some challenges in the domestic tourism space, so getting Australians to explore their own backyard. Yep. I think domestic tourism is probably suffering more so than our international tourism.
Does that come down to dollars? Or?
Cheap airfares, I think, is a huge challenge for the domestic industry. It's cheaper to fly to Bali or Fiji.
That's
or
almost a hashtag,
something.
Isn't it?
Exactly. So and I get frustrated seeing that, and I kind of get a bit disheartened when I see my friends have never even explored their own backyard. They haven't been to some amazing states like Tassie and the NT, and you know, they've never been to the Great Barrier Reef, yet they're happy to zip up to Bali twice a year. And you know, it's that saddens me a little bit. So I think there's, you know, I do think there's
how can we change that? What needs to be put in place for that? I mean, obviously it is cheaper airfares, but it's just it most of the time it comes down to cost.
Absolutely,
for mums and dads, if you think about you got 3 kids and you got to put them on a plane, it can be expensive. Yeah,
it can be. I think Australia needs to do a better job of marketing our own backyard. Really, I think we need to show that we are, that we are safe, and we're a clean destination. We've got some amazing natural attractions. So I think that really comes down to the states and regions needing to really lift their game to market our own backyard. Yeah,
give me your top 3. Let's make it top 5 biggest draw cards for Australia. Just before you go on,
this is a hard question because I could talk all day about this. So,
what do you think is the jewels in the crown of Australia?
I think the Great Barrier Reef, absolutely. Yep. I think Ningaloo Reef. I think Uluru is up there, absolutely, especially for international visitors. I think Sydney is a city that I know a lot of international visitors, that's what they think of when they think of Australia, and they want to go to Sydney because they want to see the Harbour Bridge, they want to see the Opera House, they want to go to
Dundee.
they want to go to Bondi Beach. Sydney's an iconic city, and I think that's a huge draw card. But I think our natural experiences are huge draw cards as well. I think swimming with whale sharks, humpback whales, watching turtles nesting on the islands of the Great Barrier Reef. Waterfalls, hiking trails, mountains, all that sort of stuff.
You haven't mentioned kangaroos. Are they
Wildlife is on my list. I was about to say, I think, again, especially for international visitors, wildlife is huge.
Has the quokka passed the kangaroo as our national emblem? Or?
Quite possibly getting there. There was a thing about making the quokka the WA.
Oh, really?
Animal. It came out a little while ago, like a little
instead of the black swan, we get rid of the swan and we take the quokka.
Do a quokka. Yeah, they were talking about maybe changing it. So
people would be outraged. There'd be someone would be outraged about that.
I think, but no, koalas, kangaroos, wombats, I think international visitors especially just go nuts for our wildlife. We've got this unique wildlife that you can't find anywhere else in the world. I don't know if you listened to David Attenborough's interview on Hack the other day. And did you hear him speak about the platypus? He said, I'm sitting on this river, riverbank in New South Wales somewhere, and this little creature is just going about its own business, and he rated that wildlife experience as one of his
greatest.
He just said I just find them this fascinating creature.
That's a big rap from David Attenborough.
Absolutely. But I think also in terms of draw cards, I touched on briefly before that we're a safe destination in Australia, so you're far less likely to get robbed, to get mugged, to get sick. We're a clean destination. You're not going to contract a disease or... but
you talk to the Americans and they think everything here kills you.
I know,
spiders,
this is true.
Snakes, sharks, the grass is sharp.
It's interesting that you touch on the US market, because in particular they do have a real thing about our wildlife, like a fear. And I noticed that in particular when we pushed some wildlife campaigns out to the US market at Tourism Australia, a lot of the comments on social were in relation to our dangerous, our snakes, our spiders. There's just a misconception, and that's something that I think does need to be worked on. But wildlife's certainly a huge
advertising campaign they did during the Super Bowl last year, was it?
Dundee.
Dundee. That was incredible. I watched it, then I watched the behind the scenes to it, and then I watched the presentation of it, and it was so well crafted.
It was amazing.
It was super smart. And
I was still at TA, but I can't lay any claim to that. I wasn't actually directly involved in it, but it was amazing, and we did get some huge just
massive
exposure
engagement
out of that campaign. It was amazing.
Incredible. What about ambassadors for Australia? Who's kicking goals in terms of being the face of Australia for us at the moment?
Well, Chris Hemsworth is the official ambassador for Australia.
That's pretty good to have Thor on your side.
Yeah, I think he's doing an amazing job. He's kind of the epitome of the down to earth Australian. So I think they've really nailed the brief by choosing Chris Hemsworth, because he really, he's got a family and he lives in Byron. And
he's just surfing.
Exactly. He's fit, he's healthy, healthy, he's good looking,
Yeah.
he loves Australia, and he
Yeah.
speaks about it so passionately. And I think that he's
Yeah.
he's
And
an
he's
amazing,
huge Hollywood star.
absolutely. He's
Yeah.
got massive reach. So, but I did also want to mention that I think our food and wine experiences are a huge draw card as well. And I think that people perhaps didn't really understand what Australia had to offer in the food and wine space. People sort of familiar with maybe with our wine, with Barossa, that sort of thing. But Tourism Australia a few years ago did a massive campaign. I don't know if you guys remember Restaurant Australia. So there's a hashtag still going around that's called hashtag Restaurant Australia. And it was all about showcasing our food and wine experiences with a view. So it was the fact that not only do we have amazing food and wine, but we can pair it with this incredible scenery.
Yeah.
It's not just dining in a restaurant, it's eating freshly shucked oysters, you know, wearing a pair of waders in some bay in Tasmania, and you've got the mountains in the background, and it's this spectacular scenery. So that campaign actually really did work. They showed that people didn't rate Australia very highly for our food and wine before they had visited, but after they visited, they rated us in the top 3 with France and Italy. So it showed that you have to come here and sort of experience it to really realise that we've actually got just top-notch food and wine up there with the best in the world. So
awesome. And do you think there's any room for improvement? What can we do better?
Absolutely. I think Wi-Fi is a big one. I think access to Wi-Fi is just disgraceful in Australia in the tourism industry. I think it's just
it's funny, everywhere I travel in the world, you can
get free Wi-Fi. We're so behind
the
8 ball in our Wi-Fi offering, and I think
not even cafes, not restaurants.
International visitors just are mind blown when they come here and go, what's your Wi-Fi password? Oh, we either don't have it, we don't have it at all,
or you can't have it.
You have to pay for it. You're paying $1 a minute or whatever. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
You get these stupid, download limits where you can only use a certain amount. I mean, unlimited free Wi-Fi should just be a given.
A thing, like water.
People expect it, exactly, and especially international visitors. So I think, especially in regional Australia, it's tricky because of the networks. It depends on access to internet, but I think still a lot of businesses, they could be offering it and they're choosing not to offer it. And they should be building it into their price structure. Charge an extra $5 a night and include the Wi-Fi.
It should be subsidised.
Instead of making the room $5 cheaper and then charging for your Wi-Fi, because that just is off-putting for people. And that's what they think of when they come to Australia is, it's so behind the times.
Yeah.
So I think Wi-Fi, I also think Australia probably, especially in the regional tourism space, needs to work together, work a bit more collaboratively. I've travelled through a lot of regions and I've dealt with a lot of small regional tourism organisations through my times, and I've worked for one. And I find that a lot of little regions, they love to protect their little patch and they don't want to collaborate with neighbouring regions. And
in the fear of losing business, but
exactly.
in the long run.
But in the long run, people aren't coming to just your little tiny patch, and they're certainly not coming to a region just for your business. So if you're a little winery, they're not coming all the way to Margaret River just for your one winery.
That's right,
they're coming for the entire region. So I think so many businesses need to just sort of open their eyes a little bit and support their neighbours, and regions need to support their neighbouring regions and realise that we're all working towards the same goal. But I think people can be quite parochial in the regional tourism industry, and they really need to learn to collaborate better and work together. And visitors know no boundaries in terms you've now moved into the Geograph region as opposed to the Margaret River region, or, that doesn't matter. It's just... to a visitor, it's all one region. So, we need to be less parochial about that, I think.
Oh, that's good. Super interesting. We're going to jump into your final bit of content that you brought in for us. Now, this is an Instagram story from that Ghan trip.
It's the Ghan. You've got to say it, the Ghan. Because it's the Afghan...
Oh, is it?
Afghan cameleers that pioneered the route that the rail track is now on.
Oh, well, there you go.
Afghan. That's why a lot of people call it the Ghan. They feel like they have to be posh, but it's actually the Ghan.
The Ghan.
Yep.
Awesome. So for those of you that are only listening, Tori's got a series of Instagram stories that we will put up as a link underneath the video. So when you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see it. And we're also going to splice it together within this video. So Tori's just going to talk over it because it's quite a few different little videos. Is it over 4 days? Is that right?
It went over 5 days, which was
5 days.
amazing. So this was actually on the Australia account. So,
and is this something you did off your own back and Australia shared it, or it was already organised?
I worked with them to create this series of stories, and so it helps to have a good relationship with TA, but they also know that I would be able to create the kind of content that would work well for their channels. A lot of this was filmed on my mobile, but quite a bit of it came from our Instameet as well. So some of the clips were from the influencers, which was awesome. And this is part of their sort of choose your own adventure style Insta stories that they've been doing. So I think TA's been running this campaign in the social team since about March this year. It's kind of, I think they're calling it You Decide. So it allows the audience to vote on 2 experiences and with a poll function on Instagram. And they've effectively got all the content pre-prepared. And depending on which one wins the poll, that content will get featured. So they've been running these stories in lots of different destinations, and it's been involving a lot of different tourism operators. So, for example, we had recently, there was a story in the Coral Coast region, and each day they were going to a different part of the Coral Coast, and 2 operators would get sort of pitched up against each other. And we had Salsalis one day versus going to Froth, which is the pub in the brewery in Exmouth, and Salsalis won, which is awesome. But I guess what's different about this series of stories is that the entire series was on the GAN. So it didn't matter which poll option they chose, it's going to be the GAN, because it was more about the different experiences within the GAN journey. So there amazing. And it helped to show the diversity of the GAN. I think a lot of people think that you just sit on a train for 3 days. And this was on our journey called the GAN Expedition, which is sort of our supercharged version of the GAN, which runs for 3 nights, 4 days over the dry season. And there's lots of stops on the way. There's a lot of off-train stuff. Specifically on this journey, you actually do the most off-train excursions. So you do an excursion in Katherine where you go to Nipmuc Gorge, or you do an outback experience. Then you go to Alice Springs, and there's a range of different options, touring in the local area to Simpsons Gap and the Alice Springs Desert Park and a few things. And then you actually do a full day in Coober Pedy, which is in the middle of outback SA, opal mining country. And you can head out to the breakaways, which are these really cool sort of moonscape type landscape. It's really, really special. So there's a lot more to the GAN than just sitting on a train. And that's what I really wanted to showcase with this series of stories. This was Beck Williams, Jared's partner, and she was always beautifully amazing. Dressed. Some of the content, it was really handy to have those guys on board looking glamorous. But overall, this whole series of stories reached 2.3 million people.
That's amazing.
Which is pretty epic. I was pretty pleased.
So this is an example here of the
poll.
Choice, the poll that people could have. So you could choose, do you want to float down the river or stay on the dry land? And then people get to choose river or land. And the river was the Nipmuc Gorge option up in Katherine, or land was Simpsons Gap in Alice Springs. So 2 quite different experiences. On the GAN, you can... those 2 experiences are not available on the same day, but in this case, they were really nicely juxtaposed as 2 different experiences. So, I was really, really stoked with the outcome of these stories, because it just showed how much more there was to the GAN journey than sitting on a train. We had over 4 million impressions on the whole story. We had over 10,000 taps through to our Instagram account. We had about 600 new followers on our account, which was great. 40,000 poll votes. That's amazing.
It just really helped to raise awareness.
But it's beautifully curated. It's engaged. It looks engaging. It looks nice. So there's that, the instant attraction to it. It's obviously been a lot of thought put into it. I know you said some stuff's off your phone, but there's still a bit of planning that went ahead with this. So it looks great. But it's quite. It is curated, but it's also quite natural. It's quite authentic. This shot here with the hand holding a coffee. I mean, that's just what it looks like out the window. Shot out of that was all shot on mobile. We didn't edit anything really. It was just all this stuff is what breakfast looks like on the train. I know you talked about it, and I 100% agree with you. It's super important to get that realism. This is what you can expect if you want to experience this. Then this is what it's going to be like. So 100%. That's great. So yeah, we're going to play through all of those videos for you on the YouTube cut, so we can have a look at more of that content in depth. You get to hang out with some really cool people. You get to interact with lots of influencers and Instagrammers and photographers and videos. I'd be interested to find out who you follow, like whose work do you really love, and who do you admire?
There's so many. This is a hard question because it's like, where do I start? You guys are on the top of the list.
Yeah,
I love your content, obviously. But Mark Fitz is just, you mentioned him before. He's just a legend. I think in the tourism space, he has 100% nailed the brief. He does so much work for destination accounts now because he just creates this formula with his photos where he just manages to show the accessibility of destinations, and he writes great captions, and
he's quite a good writer, isn't he?
He was an accountant, like he's a self-taught photographer. He takes stunning photos, but I think he's nailed that storytelling.
Yep.
So he's an absolute inspiration. So for anyone listening, it's Mark Fitz. So he's got an underscore and then it's at Mark Fitz.
Okay, Fitzy, if you can just send that money in the mail,
that would be great.
To mate,
Thanks.
if you're listening.
Yeah.
You don't get anything for free here with Osprey.
I mentioned before a young couple, Harry and Jordan Vick. So they're Adelaide born and bred. They are driving around Australia in a bus which they've named Luna. So they've got a few different accounts. There's Harry Vick, and then Jordan's account has got about 4 A's in her name and an underscore at the end. But and then they've got a little account called Lost in Luna, which is for their bus, showing all. And they just create ridiculously good content. It is just, it blows my mind. They've just been up doing some stuff in the Whitsundays for us. They came on our Insta Meet and their content was just spectacular. So they're super easy.
What is it that
they do? Stills and video, but I think Harry just has this amazing eye for video. Jordan's in a lot of the photos and she's so natural looking. Like she's blonde, but she's never made up. She looks so natural. She just looks like your girl next door kind of Aussie chick. And she's just a delight. Both of them are just so easy to work with and, they're refreshing. And I would absolutely work with them again.
Awesome.
There's a guy called Johnny Gaskell who
I hope I get to meet this dude.
He's just been away promoting the Whitsundays overseas, but he's back on Daydream, so hopefully you guys might get to meet him. But
so Johnny's a diver. He does a lot of underwater stuff.
Yeah, so he works for Daydream Island up in the Whitsundays, which we do a lot of transfers out to Daydream Island, and he manages. They have a thing called the Living Reef, which is like an aquarium, I guess. On the island, and he's the Living Reef manager, so he looks after all the critters in the
a lot of really proactive stuff for environmental protection of the reef.
Absolutely, he's an amazing underwater photographer and videographer. But he's really helping to showcase the sort of the current state of the Great Barrier Reef. He's doing a lot of coral replanting projects, I just love his style. I think he takes some amazing content and he writes some interesting captions as well. Really informative stuff. I mentioned Jared Singh. I think Jared and Beck's account, The Hatchling, both of their accounts are incredible. They're really easy to work with as well. Scotty's account, love Scott's work as well. Scott Slawinski, and then probably James Vodika's on my list as well. James is based in Sydney, and he really humble guy as well, and he's only about 23 and he worked for GoPro. What I like about James is there's no fuss. He travels really light. He uses just sort of one camera. He shoves his drone in a backpack. There's no gear. Sorry, Rod. No, but he's just kind of no extra baggage required when you send him somewhere. No, no, but he really challenges himself to sort of work. He takes just one lens and goes, I'm going to work with this today, and I'm going to really challenge myself instead of just having all of the options on hand all the time. And he still manages to create incredible content. I think that's really inspiring. So
he's a good dude. He was one of the guys that I really enjoyed meeting on that Insta Meet. So awesome. Anyone else?
No, that's it. I mean, there's lots, but I think I could go on all day. So we'll cap it there at the moment. They're in my top six.
Your top six, fantastic. What are the top 3 places you visited in Australia?
Look,
you've got to choose 3, Tori.
There's a lot. I think Lady Elliot Island is my number one. You guys went to Heron recently, didn't you?
Rod did. I was here doing bass and GST tax.
Holding the fort. Heron Island's quite close to Lady Elliot, and they're probably quite similar in a lot of ways. So, but Lady Elliot, I went to actually just off my own bat, but because I'd seen so many photos of it when I was working on the Australia account, and there was just, it just looked like especially turtle heaven. Like if you're into turtles, it's a turtle nesting site. So it's a little, for anyone that's not familiar with it, it's a little coral cay located off directly off Bundaberg in Queensland, so right at the southern tip of the Great Barrier Reef. So a lot of people don't realise the Great Barrier Reef is 2,500 kilometres long. They think of Cairns. They think, oh, Great Barrier Reef, I've got to fly to Cairns. You don't have to fly to Cairns. In fact, some of the most pristine parts of the Great Barrier Reef are actually right down the bottom. 4 hours north of Brisbane. Jump in a car. We did a one-way car hire to Harvey Bay. Left the car there, flew over. You can only fly to Lady Elliot. And it was like stepping into a David Attenborough
that's amazing.
doco. Like it was bird nesting season at the time, so it was just this racket of crested terns and little chicks popping out everywhere, and white-capped noddies, and then it was turtle nesting season. So I'd planned this very much down to the wire, where it was the cusp of turtle nesting and turtle hatching season. So we were getting the big ones still coming out of the ocean, laying their eggs, and they're like, they're like 2 meters or metre and a half long. Like they're huge, and they're big old loggerheads and big green turtles, and they were coming and laying their eggs at night. And then we were seeing little hatchlings running down in the moonlight, and you could walk around the whole island at night just with the moonlight, and it was just incredible. And then snorkeling in the lagoon there was just packed with turtles. I've never seen so many in my life. We swam with manta rays.
That's amazing.
Out of season, there was just a couple of mantas when we did a big deep snorkel.
You didn't organise the mantas to come in?
Didn't organise them. They just didn't ring them up and say, "Can you be here?" It was incredible. They were just. It was like a Nat Geo doco.
That's so good.
So I could rave about Lady Elliot all day, but I think add it to your list. Ningaloo. I actually went to Ningaloo for the first time recently as part of work for Salsalis, and had never been, and it was also just incredible. I love the fact that you can it's right there off the beach, and that's, I guess, similar to Lady Elliot in that, it's a fringing reef. And it's so nice to have that
step in,
that fact that you don't have to plan it. You don't get sort of taken out on the boat and it's like, okay, jump in the water now, you've got 2 hours. It's like you can go after breakfast and then you can have a snooze and then you can go again, and
it's all right there.
It was looking really healthy, and I just loved it. I think not for work, but I also did a couple of years ago the 3 Capes track in Tasmania. So that's probably in my top 3 as well. So it's a hiking trail down in the very southern part of Tassie, down near Port Arthur, and it's run by Tassie Parks. It's a 3.5 day, sort of 4 day hike. It's got these epic huts along the way that you stay in, it's sort of it's right on the edge. They call it an experience on the edge because they've built the trail to be right up close to the edge of these big sea cliffs.
Wow! And
there's these big dolerite sort of rock formations just sticking out of the ocean, and the ocean is just this sheer drop below, and it's crashing, and it's kind of like a bit like the gap in Albany, but the whole walk is sort of like that. But then there's rainforest, and that was so underrated, I reckon. That's a really cool hike.
Was that something you did for work, or was that off your own back?
Not work, just off my own back. Just something that, again, I'd seen so many photos of and was like, oh, I've got to do that. That's really cool. But I guess for work also, I've got to give a shout out to doing the GAN, because that's something that probably would have never dreamed to do, because
you're not in the demographic yet.
Price-wise as well, it's a little bit up there. So, but I've done it 4 times in 12 months, and it's just something that is pretty special. It's pretty special to be able to sit back and watch the Australian countryside and scenery and outback and the desert, and every morning you wake up and the scenery is different. You're in sort of tropical Northern Territory, and sort of the surroundings of Darwin and Katherine are really lush and green, and then you go to sleep and you wake up in Alice Springs and it's just dry and it's red, and it's just cool to see that and not have to get on a plane. So that's kind of nice. Really, and you can drink wine and the whole way. And
brush Jared's hair.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So there's 3 places to put on your bucket list if you haven't been there already. We're just about going to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you, for all those content creators out there that follow these big pages, and you've had some close first-hand experiences with them, how can people that would love to be featured on these big pages, what's some tips you can give to them, like the Australia page? We touched on it briefly already, keeping it natural, not over photoshopping, no misty waterfalls.
Yeah, steer clear of the long exposure stuff, I think.
I love doing that.
And that save that for your artsy kind of accounts. A little human touch, I think, is really important. I mentioned that before. I think that adds a bit of scale and helps to show accessibility of a destination. So human touch, using the right hashtags, that seems like a no-brainer, but still people seem to forget that, you should be adding all of those hashtags for your local region, your state as well. So if you're here in WA, it's just another day in WA is the Tourism WA hashtag if you want to get picked up on the Western Australia account. For TA, it's for Australia, it's See Australia is the hashtag. I would also be tagging them as well, because you actually tagging them in the photo is a source of permission sharing for TA, and I think for all the state tourism bodies as well. So if you do both, you kind of can't get it wrong. And just make sure you're using all those correct hashtags. I think geotagging your posts helps to add a bit of exposure as well. And I think certainly with TA, you need to provide the location. You can't put up a photo and not say where it is, because they need to know. They're promoting tourism. So if it's a photo of your secret surf spot and you don't want to share it, that's okay, but don't expect it to get picked up by TA or by anybody really, because if you don't want to share where that spot is, then
they're not going to share
They can't share the photo. They need to know where it is. They need to provide the tangible location as to actually where that photo was taken and how people can get there, because their job is to get people there. They're not there to just share pretty photos of places, and they actually want to provide tangible advice to encourage visitation to these regions. I mentioned before about captions. I think writing an informative caption with a bit of a value add, like a bit of a personal tip about what to do in the destination, just something that can't be found on a website. That really helps, I think. And I guess doing what you guys are doing is sort of making a connection with the people behind the accounts that will help, and they're just people really. They're not, and that's what's cool about what you guys are doing with this podcast, is because you're sort of showing the people behind these accounts.
They're working so hard, and everyone contributes, and we just never know who's actually running any of this stuff.
Exactly. So get to know them. It's everybody. It'll help having you guys showcasing the people behind the accounts, but you can also just phone up, Coral Coast Tourism or even Tourism Australia. They will put you in touch with the social media team, meet and greet them, meet them for a coffee, offer to do some contra work for them. Get in their faces really and show who you are and what you do, and get on their radar, because your account will become sort of a go-to source of content if you're producing the right kind of content for what they're looking for. And if they know they've kind of got blanket permission to always share your content with credit, then they don't have to worry about whether you use the hashtags and whatnot. Okay, so
that's super informative. All right, mate. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for coming in. It was a really a great pleasure to have you in here. It's so insightful and super generous with all the things that you offer us. And I know all the other crew, all the other content creators are always so happy to be a part of anything that you put together, because it always is a really good time.
Oh, good.
And and we get to go to amazing places. So
absolutely.
Thanks for that. I wish you all the best in Journey Beyond. It sounds like it's going to be bigger than Ben-Hur.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
really, really cool. And that's all. We're going to take you to the airport now. You're going home.
Yeah, heading back to Adelaide.
And that's a wrap for us. We'll put some more information below the link below on the YouTube channel, and with Spotify, as I said, you can go across to our YouTube channel at Osprey Creative, and you can see all the videos and all the pictures that Tori brought in today that we discussed. If you do like what we do, please subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we put a new video up, and that's a wrap.